This is my study guide for the play The Eumenides. Here is my introduction for The Eumenides. It is by a playwright and soldier by the name of Aeschylus. Eumenides is the last play in the Orestia trilogy. The version that we read was translated by Ted Hughes, and it was originally published in 1999. I could not find the exact date, but it did say it was published in 1999. Throughout this study guide, I'll give some more context into the play, talk about how the play conformed to one of Aristotle's elements of tragedy, because this play is a Greek tragedy, some major themes, and some outside resources that connected and relate to the play. So this is my storyboard for the play. I kind of just chose what I thought were the 6 main important parts. It starts off with Apollo talking to Orestes after he has come back to kind of try and cleanse himself after he killed his mother. And Apollo explains to him that the only reason that he did that was because it was Apollo's command to do that. And he says that he needs to go find Athena in Athens, and she will try his case because she is the goddess of wisdom. Orestes then goes to Athens, and Apollo sees the Furies, who he has supposedly put to sleep. Clytemnestra's ghost then wakes the Furies up, and the Furies get into a fight with Apollo, and they think that Apollo is trying to take their power away, so they leave and go after Orestes in Athens. They finally found him in Athens, but then that's when Athena finds him and is listening to both sides of their story and decides that she is going to put on a murder trial. She has 10 citizens of Athens be the jury, and listens to both the Furies' opinion of what Orestes did to Clytemnestra and Apollo's side. Athena then decides that Orestes should be set free because she agrees with Apollo that men are more worthy than women, and then she convinces the Furies to protect the city of Athens with peace instead of going after people who have broken oaths. And that's how the play ends. The play was written in 5th century BC and won first place prize for a Greek tragedy in 458 BC. Aeschylus, the author, was born in 523 BC and died in 456 BC, and he lived just outside of Athens. I couldn't find exactly the name of the place he lived exactly because little is known about his family and personal life. It did say that he fought with his brothers in many wars and battles, and it also is known that both of his sons became playwrights like Aeschylus. He based the Eumenides off kind of the evolution of concepts in that time. Citizens were going to plays as a civic duty, and it was kind of seeing these plays were kind of changing people's opinions about things, and especially judicial views and justice, which is what the Eumenides and the whole Orestia trilogy is about. I think this play does conform to Aristotle's element of tragedy, and I think that its character. The whole story is the ending of kind of wrapping up all of these tragic decisions made by the characters throughout the trilogy. They come into situations where they're faced with what people would say is the right decision and a decision that would lead to tragedy, and almost always they choose the tragic decision, which kind of flows into the whole trilogy of making it a tragedy. Agamemnon, he was faced with sacrificing his daughter to go to war, or just not going to war and not having to sacrifice her, and he sacrificed her, which then that was a tragic decision, which led Clytemnestra to kill him, which then led Orestes to kill Clytemnestra, and it was just a chain of events that led to this whole trilogy being a tragedy. I kind of found two really overpowering themes in the Eumenides. The first clearly being justice and revenge. We talked about this in class a lot, and I really think the main conclusion that we came to was it was just all up to interpretation. It's just based on who you're asking, because to Orestes, he thinks that killing his mother was justified, but the Furies saw it as revenge, and so it really is just kind of that overpowering idea of your decisions being justice or revenge, and just kind of based on who you're asking, and just kind of like the city or world's ideas or views of it at that point in time. We also talked a lot about motherhood versus fatherhood. The whole reason that Orestes was set free at the end of the book was because Apollo pointed out that men are worth more than women at that time in Athens. And so the fact that Clytemnestra killed Agamemnon, that was just absolutely horrible, because she killed her husband, she killed a man, and that was not okay. But Orestes killing his mother was fine, because he belongs more to his father than he does his mother, and women weren't worth as much, and so people didn't see it as bad of a thing as Clytemnestra killing her husband. I saw the theme of motherhood in the TV show Grey's Anatomy. Very different plots, but the theme was still there. Arizona and Callie are married, and they have a daughter together named Sophia. Callie was wanting to move to New York with her girlfriend. Callie and Arizona were previously married, but they got divorced. Callie wanted to take Sophia with her and Callie's girlfriend to New York, and Arizona didn't want her taking her away, and so they went into a custody battle. They both felt responsible for the child, and that is why they went to court because of it. Here are my study questions that I have about the book, or the play. The first one is, why do they seek out Athena to make the final decision about Orestes? The second one is, what does Clytemnestra's dream or vision symbolize? Why do you think Orestes got Apollo's prophecy? Why do the Furies want to get revenge on Orestes so bad? Why weren't people angrier about what Orestes did to his mother versus what his mother did to his father? Why do you think the ideas of justice and revenge are so important in this play? Here are my outside resources. The first picture that you see here is on the left, is a sculpture of Athena. I think this is obviously very important because Athena plays such an overpowering role in this play, and it really wouldn't have happened without her. The trilogy wouldn't really have been resolved without her. It probably would have been resolved in a different way, but with everybody being more peaceful, I don't think it would have been. The second picture is the Furies pursuing someone. I used this because this is kind of how I thought the Furies looked like when they were trying to find Orestes. They wanted revenge on him for what he did, and they wouldn't really stop at anything to find him. The third one is a sculpture of Aeschylus, which obviously is important because he is the author. I thought this was really interesting because it honestly is kind of exactly what I thought he would look like. And I thought that was really interesting when I finally found a picture. It was kind of just like, oh, I figured he'd kind of look like that. So yeah, I put this sculpture in there. And then the the last outside resource I found was an article, and I think this really helped kind of solidify what I understood about the play. Um, it talks about really everything that you need to know about the play. It talks about Isiscles and his life. It talks about why the play was written and how it was viewed to Greek citizens. It also talks about the play itself and themes, and also gives its own interpretation of the play, which I thought was also really helpful to read. My response to the play was very good. I really enjoyed reading this trilogy. It wasn't really like anything I'd ever read before, not even just because of the plot, but in the themes itself. I really liked how it was a little bit more complex and kind of made you think a little bit more. But yeah, I really like how everything was kind of wrapped up in the end and how it ended. I really enjoyed that. It reminds me of a TV show that my dad and I watch. It's called Dexter. And Dexter, the character, is a serial killer who kills bad guys. Which, if you think about that, it's like, oh, he's a serial killer, that's bad, but he doesn't kill good people. He kills bad guys who are also killers, or people who have committed a crime and gotten away with it. I think that idea of the character is similar to the ideas of the Eumenides, because Orestes obviously killed his mother, but his mother killed his father, and so he thinks of it as justified because of what Clytemnestra did. And so I feel like those two ideas of the characters kind of relate, or the complexity of the characters are very similar in this situation. I think my favorite part of the play is really the ending, when Athena makes her decision about Orestes, and the way she makes the decision, like she has a jury, which was not super common of back then. And I like how Orestes is set free, he's happy, Apollo's happy, she changes the Furies' mind about how they want to act, they become good, and just kind of everything falls into place, really, at the end of the play. I think it's very important to still read this play, because we're used to reading kind of things that are all the same, but have the same themes and are portrayed the same way. But these are like themes we see all the time in books and movies, but it puts it in like older times and how these were portrayed then. Like, we would never really see another, like, a new story with characters that make decisions like this. And I kind of think it's nice to see the comparison between those. And it also kind of shows the detriments in a very serious way of what can happen if you don't really think about the others around you when making decisions. Like, you're just very... People in the play, I feel like, were very closed off and didn't really think about effects of the people around them, not just family, but friends and the whole city that they lived in. I learned from this play that everybody is going to have differing opinions about actions that you make. It may be super clear to you about a decision that you should make, and this is the right decision, and someone else could think a completely different way. I think it's really just the power of reading plays like this. You can take away so many different things, and you kind of, if it's a decision that needs an unbiased opinion, that kind of was shown in the play. Athena was the unbiased opinion, and in some situations in your life, you're going to need someone to help solve a problem or help you make a decision, and you're going to need someone like Athena in those instances. So it kind of, I always kind of like knew that, but this play kind of showed me that it'll be a lot better in the end if you ask for help, theoretically. To first-time readers of tragedy, I would say just, especially with plays like this that have a pretty serious plot, if you're trying to understand the themes, kind of just like look at the big picture and not really so much the exact actions of the characters, because that will kind of get you hung up on what you should do. At least for me, it does. And to definitely like reread if you get confused, look up summaries online, ask questions, and kind of try and look at the big picture of the play instead of just exactly what's happening between specific characters.